Hey, it's Ari Santiago, host of the Made in America podcast, coming to you live from Nuntuck Community College in Enfield, Connecticut, for the Manufacturing Day 2020 panel. It's a very exciting panel of people in manufacturing, leading manufacturing, educating the next generation of manufacturers, and of course, advocating for manufacturing here in Connecticut. And what better way to start this panel than to hear about what's happening today in manufacturing, and who better to give us that perspective than the state's Chief Manufacturing Officer, Colin Cooper. Chief Cooper, can you give us a heads up on what's going on in manufacturing?
Thank you, Ari. Yeah, I'm very excited. I've got in my hand here a proclamation from the governor pronouncing that today is Manufacturing Day here in Connecticut. It's National Manufacturing Day. We have a 200-year history of manufacturing here in Connecticut, and you know, we lead the world in a lot of industries. It may be surprising to people to know that we have over 160,000 people in Connecticut employed directly by manufacturers. We have over 4,000 manufacturing companies in the state, and we produce over $30 billion worth of product and export $17 billion. So it's a vibrant part of the state's economy, has been for 200 years, likely will be for another 200 years. And really, when you think of manufacturing in Connecticut, we lead the world in precision manufacturing, sort of low volume but high complexity. You think of helicopters, submarines, jet engines. But we're also very strong in things like medical devices, plastics, electronics. And we have a number of companies in emerging industries like electronic vehicles and offshore wind power. So we really run the gamut.
It's a really exciting time. It's a really exciting background, Colin. I think it's so important, especially on Manufacturing Day, to get the word out about what's really going on in manufacturing. You know, one of my favorite kind of sayings about manufacturing is too many people think of it as the dark, dirty, dingy days of yesteryear, when really we're into the lean, green, clean, high-tech manufacturing of today. And I think we got someone on the panel who I think has a super passion for this new manufacturing and who's doing a lot to bring it to life and bring the next generation along with us. So Jim, president of Tunxus, president of Nuntuck, president of Northwest, and president of Naugatuck Valley Community Colleges. It's a mouthful. Maybe you could share with those watching at home, what is it we're doing in manufacturing to help train that next generation workforce?
Excellent. Well, thank you, Ari, and thanks for being here today. It's wonderful to host you here in this event here at Nuntuck Community College. I mean, here across the community college system, all of our community colleges, we have 10 community colleges, our technical high school system as well. You can get manufacturing is not dirty, dark, and dank, like you said. Trying to change the perception across the state has really been a personal mission of mine. I spent nearly 20 years in manufacturing before coming to higher ed myself. You know, we have everything from machining, we have welding and fabrication, we have mechatronics, and those are your surgeons that really learn robotics and automation out on the production floor. We also have additive manufacturing, 3D printing, which is really the wave of manufacturing. So community colleges have everything from short-term programs to 10-month programs to 2-year associate degrees. Through our College of Technology, you can transfer into the 4 universities. So there's just so many different opportunities in manufacturing. And it's not just jobs, it's careers. I talk to students every day that tell me they've landed a job through their paid internship. They're making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. I talk to students that to start full benefit packages and medical, dental. We're finding employers now are sending students back to get full tuition reimbursement, coming back to complete their associates, going on for their 4-year degree. There's engineering pathways. It all ties together, but these are, like I said, careers in manufacturing. They're not just jobs. They're livable wage careers. If you're a student out there and you like working with your hands, if you like work taking things apart, if you like gaming, if you like working with different machines and whatnot, this truly is something to think about going into. Take a look at it. Come to one of the community colleges. Check out what the options are. Take a tour because there really is just a whole array of opportunities.
I think that's an important part, right? It's hard to know what's happening in manufacturing just by hearing someone talk about it. And I think while we're here, you know, in this great facility, maybe just talk a little bit. I know it's hard to see for folks at home, but listen, it's 2020, as you can tell by our beautiful face gear we've got going on here, by the separation, the social distancing, which is super important, and we're doing it right and modeling that. But let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. What is this beautiful facility that we're in right now?
Sure. This facility is a 27,000 square foot advanced manufacturing center. It's been here for the last 5 years. We have 25,000 square feet inside of the main building as well for our mechatronics and welding and fabrication center. Here we have everything where students are learning. They learn the manual process. So we're not just teaching students how to press buttons when you're looking at a CNC machine, you're looking at a 3-axle, a 5-axle machines, you're looking at our Bridgeport machines as well as our lathes and so forth. Students learn how to do it manually. So when the machine breaks down, they know how to get the machine up and running again. Then we start getting into the CNC computer programming and so forth. So they learn how to actually start off in the design phase as well in the classroom, where they're learning SolidWorks, they're learning how to design it, then come to the production floor and do the hands-on component. That experiential learning, it's so important rather than just learning it, textbook-wise. You've got to have that hands-on piece as well too.
Yeah, the hands-on is great, and so somebody myself who sort of has a passion for manufacturing and didn't really know it was a viable career when I was growing up and going to school, here in Connecticut. But knowing how powerful it is to have an idea, to see something on a screen, and then be able to see it come to life and be something you can look and touch and feel, it's such a powerful connection to really feel the value of what you're doing. And I think that's a great transition to talk to Commissioner Cardona and really to hear what your thoughts are, Commissioner, in terms of how do we get the idea, the vibrancy of manufacturing. Clearly, Colin with his background owning and running a manufacturing business, Jim being in it and educating it and seeing it every day. How do we bring this type of passion, this education, this opportunity to the doorsteps of so many of the people in Connecticut who don't have that background, who don't know about manufacturing, haven't seen it, and still think of it as the old days where you'd spend 20 years pushing a button to watch 1,000 screws come off a line?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for the invitation. It's nice to meet you in person, Ari. And Jim, what a beautiful spot. I kind of want to walk around myself, get a little field trip for myself. I'm a graduate of a technical high school, so for me, these lathes and these machines are something that I'm familiar with. But to see the computers that are aligned with them and to see these beautiful pieces of equipment, really, it's evolved a lot. So it's great that we have these hands-on opportunities for students in Connecticut. And Colin's been doing a great job. He's been less than a year, chief manufacturing officer. I like to say the czar. The czar. The czar. But just amazing. This is what we're doing, and I'm really pleased we have joining our team and really leading this work for the agency, our chief academic officer, Irene Parisi, who also understands the importance of critical pathways for students. So to answer your question, how do we do this? We need to get students in here. We need to get teachers in here. We need them to see what manufacturing looks like today and tomorrow, not yesterday. And I think that's part of our effort at the agency to really reimagine and really redefine what it is and make sure that our structures are supporting career advancement, not just 4-year traditional colleges. We need to look at programs like these. There's such a demand in Connecticut. I think we need to do a better job meeting that demand and making sure that our system is designed to have students walk through these hallways, have teachers walk through these hallways to help them understand what opportunities these students have. Our job is to help students become successful and give them opportunities. And I think beautiful places like this and them having their doors open to us will move that along a lot quicker.
Connecticut's got a long history of great community colleges,
Yes.
great technical trade schools, and we're gonna talk about that. I know Michael's here, who's a graduate of a technical school and is working in manufacturing. I'm excited to hear that background and that perspective. But there's so many other kids that are going to comprehensive high schools that maybe, again, don't know about this. And what's the role in the Department of Education to make sure that even kids that are going to comprehensive high schools have an opportunity to understand what's going on in manufacturing, and that it isn't necessarily just for kids. While it is great for kids who, like me, like to take things apart and maybe couldn't always figure out how to put them back together, but really enjoyed that, despite my parents wondering why the microwave didn't work. But what about other kids who maybe don't think of that? But when you look at manufacturing in 2020 and what it's going to be in 2025, we talk about 3D SolidWorks software. We talk about IT programming. I mean, demand for developers and coders in manufacturing is growing and growing and growing. And beyond that, there's HR opportunities, there's finance opportunities, there's business development and sales opportunities, opportunities to start a business here in Connecticut that can change the world in manufacturing. How do we bring that knowledge and spark those ideas at the comprehensive high schools?
Sure. So it really, to me, as you pointed out, We have 17 technical high schools, and they're fantastic. But that's not enough. That's not going to meet the demand. Our comprehensive high schools, we have hundreds. So we have to make sure we're tapping into our traditional high schools to provide pathways, better CTE opportunities, more computer science opportunities, more externship opportunities for a lot of these students to go out there and see what's happening here, see what's happening in the manufacturing world, in the computer science world firsthand. And we have to make sure that we're helping our teachers understand how the demands are changing and how these opportunities exist. And in many ways, bring that into the classroom earlier. And I think high school, if we start in high school, we're starting too late. We really need to do it earlier. Middle school, we need to expose our communities to what options exist. These are great opportunities for people to come back into their community, and as the president said, continuing their education if they so choose. In many cases, companies are paying for the education of their employees to continue. So it's a win-win for everyone.
100% agree, and I'm just really glad that you mentioned all these great companies because there's so many tremendous manufacturers in Connecticut. Colin mentioned 4,000 manufacturers, and I'm really glad that today we have Glenn Ford from Phoenix Manufacturing, who is one of the leaders of one of the great manufacturing companies here in Connecticut, not too far away, actually from where we're sitting, one of those aerospace companies. And Glenn, thanks for coming out today. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the manufacturing leader perspective on what you see in terms of children being successful, kids getting into manufacturing. You know, for the people that are watching out there, Glenn, whether they're parents, whether they're kids, talk to them about what they can expect from manufacturing and what it's like to work in manufacturing in 2020 here in Connecticut.
Well, first of all, Ari and the esteemed panel, thank you. It's a privilege to be here today. I can't be more excited to be here to talk about manufacturing on Manufacturing Day here in October 2nd, right in Connecticut. You know, a lot of people don't realize how long Manufacturing Day has actually been going on, but it's gaining some serious momentum, and I really, really enjoy that. So again, I'm privileged. I did bring my one of my friends and coworkers with me, Michael Contois, who's going to validate some of the stuff that I might say. So the picture, what does it look like in modern manufacturing? You said, you know, at the beginning of our meeting here that, you know, it's not dark and dingy, and it's not like what our parents used to were exposed to, or our grandparents. In fact, it's quite different. Today's manufacturing is modern. It's computers. It's lit well, clean floors. Chips are evacuated through a machine automatically into a special kind of tote. And there's process for everything. So it's true. It's a new way to manufacture. It's a new manufacturing environment. It's unlike anything we've ever seen in the past. When you come into our facility at Phoenix Manufacturing, it's very clean. The floors are shiny. Everything is outlined perfectly. Rows and rows of very high-tech machinery, from 3-axis to 4-axis to 5-axis machines. Robots moving around, moving parts in and out of machines. Even when we're sleeping, it's all part of the new manufacturing that we have here that's modern. A far cry from back in the day, Dr. Cardona, when we went to school, when we used to have to twist dials by hand and get chips in your fingers. It's not the same today, and it's extremely exciting. So the other thing is, we can't get enough people. We can't get enough people excited. You know, we have this great tsunami. There's the old folks like me who are getting ready within the next 5, 10 years to retire. We've been doing this all our lives. We made a great life at it. It's fantastic. You know, if I did it, I'd do it all over exactly the same way. But we're ready to retire, and there's this gap where we don't really have enough people that are going to fill this gap. And again, Michael will talk a little bit to that, and he'll exude the benefits of being in this advanced manufacturing industry. So, to the schools that we have here today, it's so important that you're producing such quality folks who are coming out of these schools. Everybody who comes out of the schools, they got a good foundation, they're prepared well, they understand the technology in the machine, which is really a lot to take in. And then some of these folks come into our factories and they start at the ground floor and they just start the machine. But many of them go beyond that. Some of the best engineers that we have in our factory started as apprentices, started at technical trade schools. They understand what the machine can do, and they understand what it can't. And now they're programming machines, and they're designing things that a machine can actually make better than some of the people who graduate from a comprehensive high school and go right into engineering, because they understand what that machine can do.
Glenn, when you're thinking about at Phoenix and you guys are looking to hire, I know some people may look at manufacturing and say, well, I don't know, maybe I'm not the right gender. Maybe I didn't have the right background. Is there any barriers that you're aware of that would prevent someone from getting into manufacturing?
What a great question. And in fact, no, there isn't. Anybody can machine. Anybody can come in and run a machine. In fact, we have ladies who are working on the shop floor. It's such a great thing. I want to almost have like a gender competition, ladies against the guys who can machine a better part, But we do have those folks in there. In quality, in fact, our quality manager is a lady. She's grown up in this industry, and she does a fantastic job. So, no, it doesn't matter, who you are. If you have an interest and you really want a machine, and you have, I guess the basic foundational element is, do you have a good attitude, a positive attitude? Can you come in and be part of the team and get the ball over the goal line? Can you machine a part? Do you care about what you're doing? Is it a job versus a career for you? That's really the defining criteria.
I think that's really a really great thing to talk about, Glenn. I'm going to get to Michael 1 second here, but the last thing I just wanted to ask you about is, you've talked about that passion and that career. And I think one of the things we hear about all the time when people talk about millennials or Gen Z or whatever it is we're talking about these days, and it's always theoretically something new, the one thing I seem to hear and see and believe is that people want to go to a place where they feel like they can make a difference, where they can go in the morning and feel welcomed, or when they can go home in the afternoon and feel like they contributed to something that's greater than themselves. Do they have that opportunity at Phoenix?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you a story. Just this morning, we had a small meeting with some of our employees, and we're talking about a thing, I'll get a little technical here, called a horizontal tail stabilator actuator. And we make components for this. And our folks were, what is an HSTA? We call it, an acronym for everything in aerospace. And I said, what this part does in the aircraft, okay, is it balances out the aircraft so when it's flying, if there's a weight distribution issue in the aircraft, automatically makes it fly level, right? And all of a sudden, it was just like lights went on. Guys were like, wow, that's cool. I'm working on that? This is awesome. And it just gives them another level of, I am so excited to be here. And when you look up in the sky and you see an aircraft fly overhead, you can take the pride in knowing that you have contributed to making this machinery fly in the air, carry products, carry people. It's just an astounding thing for the folks to see what they're contributing to. So yes, you make a difference, not just in the aerospace, but if you're in wind power or if you're in medical, think about the parts that you're making that are going to be inserted into somebody's body. You want to make an impact? If I had a hip replaced, the first thing I want to know is who made that?
Who made that?
I want to go thank them and
That's
say
right.
thank you. Right?
No, you're 100% right, Glenn. And I could think of just a couple quick stories where, there's manufacturers in Connecticut, like in aerospace, and I know a company did a field trip to an air show in Massachusetts, and they literally played a game to go around and look at all the different helicopters and planes and have a scavenger hunt to identify pieces that were made in the factory. And think about how cool that is to know something you made is on a Black Hawk or it's on an aircraft, something that's keeping our people safe. And you're about medical, we've another company we work with, they literally print custom 3D skulls. So if you get into an accident and your skull's cracked, you can get a scan and they print a replica. Think about how important that is to someone who maybe had a broken head, or staples that go in, hip replacements. Manufacturers in Connecticut are doing things that make a difference to our country, to our lives, and to individuals. And people that join this industry can be a part of that. And Michael, you made the decision to join this industry. Maybe you could just quickly share with the audience, your background and what your view of manufacturing is as, I think, decidedly the youngest person on this panel.
Thanks, Ari. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you for having, and thank you, Glenn, for inviting me. Getting into manufacturing, honestly, in high school, it wasn't originally my choice. I had originally gone for metal fabrication and welding, but I tried that and I couldn't get the hang of welding. I went into the machine shop and it clicked. You get lured with the vastness of it. The manufacturing trade it's anything from, as you were saying, from medical to aerospace to computers. There's manufacturing, there's machining, and all of those components. Everything gets made on a CNC machine or a milling machine or a lathe of some sort. And to me, I'm a student at heart. I love learning.
What makes you, when you go into work every day, what gets you the most excited to go in and do? Like, what's your, you're getting up in the morning, you're driving to the office, you're driving to the factory. What is the thing that most excites you aside from seeing Glenn? I mean, obviously clearly that's number one. But after seeing Glenn, what gets you excited?
What gets me excited? It's the learning of it. Because a lot of the time I come in, the area I'm working in right now, it's all completely new to me. I'm running fourth axis right now, and I'm training on 5-axis, and it's exciting. It's a whole nother ball game. You go there, and I never know what I'm going to be working on because it's a new game daily.
So you're getting opportunities to grow and try new things?
Absolutely.
What are you finding from some of, am I allowed to say old timers, some of the old timers that are around? Are you finding that they're welcoming you and embracing you? What's been your experience from that perspective?
Everything I've ever learned in the trade has come from people, the older generation, the ones that are close to retiring. They know the most, and to be honest, it's where you learn the best from. I work with currently the foreman at the place I work now, at Phoenix rather. Rick Burwood is incredibly intelligent. He's run all the jobs. He's run all the machines. You have any problem, he can look at it and say, yeah, that's what's going on. And he won't just say that's what's going on. He say, this is what's happening. This is why you did that. And they'll explain it all the way down to the level that even if you don't know, you can completely understand it and comprehend it yourself. So that when you have that problem again, now you're learning something. You're learning how to not have that problem again.
Do you have fun at work?
I do, absolutely.
Dude, what else can you ask for? A good career, a place you want to go, you're learning and you're having fun. Speaking for the older crew around here, there's not much more, I think, that we can ask for in life. And I think, just trying to wrap up the panel, I want to kind of come back to you, Colin. What do you see? We talk about the careers in manufacturing and that there's a bright future. What does that future look like from the perspective of the Chief Manufacturing Officer? What does the next 5, 10, 20 years in Connecticut manufacturing look like?
Well, I think I'd like to stitch together a couple thoughts of the panel.
Please.
If I'm a young person, I think it's important to know that, again, we talked about the silver tsunami. 35% of our workforce in Connecticut is 55 years or older. And those people are retiring now. So it's creating a tremendous demand for new entrants into manufacturing, but it also creates a tremendous opportunity for young people to move up. If you're willing to take on some more responsibility, which clearly you are, and you're willing to learn, people are going to be retiring in front of you, and it's just going to create a tailwind for you for career-wise. I think it's important to notice that we touched on this, very high wages in manufacturing. Average wages in manufacturing are between $80,000 and $90,000 across the state. Now, you're not going to start there, but there's opportunity also to exceed that average over the course of your career. So that's a very important factor. And then we talked about, sort of a varied career option. Yes, you can be a machining technician. You can be a programmer. You can be an engineer. You can be a production planner. You can be a quality associate. And there are people at my company that have done all of those things over the course of their career. So there's an opportunity to try new things, to advance and continuously learn. And then we also touched on the fact that you don't have to take on $100,000 worth of student debt to access this opportunity. President Lambella talked about it. There are all sorts of entry points.
And you're
to get into
stealing my next
manufacturing.
question, Colin,
Okay.
because I wanted to go to President Lambella and ask about that. So I'm going to do that now.
Great.
And just talk about President Lambella, when you're getting through, high school and getting ready to go on to the next thing, a lot of us are thinking about what that looks like. Not everyone's had the opportunity to have parents who've been able to save. And even when we have, it's been hard to save. Many of us maybe remember a lot of our friends whose parents saved, got out of college with little to no debt. That just doesn't really happen these days. People are coming out with 6 figures worth of debt, and then you're locked into a career no matter what. What does that look like for somebody who maybe wants to give this manufacturing path a try? What is it going to cost to, say, go to a place like Nuntuck and get the experience they need to get started in a career like Michael has?
The range really varies. I mean, to come to one of the community colleges, and if you look at the community colleges that have manufacturing, they're strategically placed throughout the state. So wherever you live in the state of Connecticut, you can have access to the manufacturing programs. Shorter programs start off anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000. The whole associate degree is $8,500. We're not talking $70,000 worth of debt here, even to get your associate degree. So those opportunities, you can get Pell funding, you can also get scholarships and so forth. Many of our students, the vast majority, go through these complete programs with no out-of-pocket expense. So we have ways to line students up with what their needs are, where the funding exists, where scholarships exist, and so forth. So, I mean, the opportunities, come tour one of the centers, take a look. And I commend Glenn. I mean, opening up modern manufacturing facilities for tours so parents and students can actually see what it's like. And again, it's not the dirty, dark and deck. It's touchscreens, it's robotics, it's high tech. And I see so many students flourishing in these environments every day, much like we've heard here today. There's opportunities, there's growth, but the community colleges, the technical high schools, pathways, we also have the pipeline programs. You look at down at Three Rivers, you look at some of our community colleges that pair you up with an employer right into an employment job. So I just say, have an open mind, take a look at all the different options in the state, stop by one of your local community colleges and take a look at the different programs. Again, starting off with a couple-month program, all the way through 10-month, 2-year, and pathways all the way through our 4 universities.
So we've got an industry here in Connecticut with a long history, with great engaged owners and manufacturers who are making things that make a difference in people's lives and the safety of our country, giving people career opportunities, opportunities to know, to learn, to grow, to be engaged, and to do it at a price that anybody can afford. I mean, that is a compelling offer and opportunity. And I just want to end maybe, Commissioner Cardona, by just asking you if you could give a few words to parents out there who, are really in many ways in the driver's seat of either encouraging or discouraging their kids from looking at this tremendous opportunity. What do you say to those parents who still have some concerns about getting into manufacturing?
Question your own bias. You leave your bias at the door. Go check it out for yourself. You're providing opportunities for your children to be happy, to be successful, to contribute to the economy, to do well for themselves. But oftentimes we have to unlearn what we think we know, and we have to just go check it out. I mean, go take a walk through here. I mean, the doors are open, and the opportunities are endless. So all parents want the best for their kid. Look at what opportunities exist that may be different than what you experienced, and open those doors for your kids, and help them be a part of it too, so that they can choose for themselves.
I think that's absolutely tremendous. I want to thank you guys all for coming out. I'm so happy we had an opportunity to do this. I hope people do pay attention and think about this tremendous opportunity that there is here in manufacturing. Black, white, male, female, rural, urban, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, the doors are open. All we have to do now is stand up and take advantage of these opportunities. So thank you all very much. Hope everybody out there is having a happy manufacturing day in 2020.
Thank you.